Welcome. Yes, yes. Welcome to another segment of Seek Elevation, the Seek Elevation experience with yours truly, attorney Alakisha. I am an attorney, but I am not your attorney, possibly. I do have clients that listen, but those of you who know we didn't do an engagement letter, I am not your attorney. I am the attorney that gives you the gems, the information, all the things that you need to become better, to elevate, because this is where real issues, real people, and real conversations take center stage. Change doesn't happen with us being silenced. People, we must speak. Speak when necessary. Speak to whom is necessary. So, right here on Seek Elevation, from sports and entertainment to business and community, what we focus on is elevating the voices that needs to be heard. Like one of the voices I'm going to have on today, I'm excited to have on today. But we don't just talk here, we empower, we inspire, and we challenge the status quo. We may not all, agree on everything, but that is where change happened. Hearing the differences, the diverse experiences and opinions, we have to learn to accept and respect that so we can all grow in that. But today, we're going to talk about a lot here. Black sheep to blueprint, overcoming imposter syndrome as a first gen achiever is our guest. So there's a lot there, right? Some of us experience maybe one of the three things, two, possibly, but three. Some of us may have felt like we were the black sheep. Some feel like or felt like we have to deal with or overcome imposter syndrome. And a lot of us may have been first gen achievers. But our guest today can speak to all three of those. So I'm excited to have her on. This episode is for the trailblazers, right? It's for those who are, right? Because we don't talk about the gritty stuff. A lot of times when we talk about just entrepreneurship or making it in whatever area or industry that we're in, we talk about the little glamorous part of it, the part that we love as creatives, as business owners, as athletes. But what we don't talk about is that we're all human in those particular things. We're bringing our humanness into all of these different industries or whatever we do. And so we have to, if we're going to talk about elevating and the holistic part of everything, we have to talk about the humanness of it. So today, when we're talking about it, I want you to think about this episode being for trailblazers, right? And if you are blazing a trail, that's what you are, a trailblazer, who either were once or feel like they were the black sheep, are the black sheep, the misunderstood ones, the outliers, if you will, the dreamers who felt like they didn't quite fit in. And that's okay, because please know that we were all designed uniquely to not fit in. We were designed to stand out. But some of us have taken some time to come to that realization. A lot of us may not have known that growing up and through many things. And even as we rise, as we are, a lot of us coming into ourselves or probably came into ourselves, even as we rise, as Maya Angelou would say, still I rise, imposter syndrome still sneaks in for some individuals. Especially if you're first to make it, you're trying to figure it out. You probably don't have a blueprint, and you probably feel that you're actually faking it when you're not. A lot of things happen, and you're probably thinking, do I really know what I'm doing? Am I doing it the right way? You are absolutely doing it the right way, because it is the way that was curated for you. You're not faking it. You have broken cycles, and when you've done that, you probably are facing the weight of expectations. And there may be cultural guilt. That is a thing as well. Cultural guilt is a thing. There's a lot of people that come from different cultures that if they do exceed or they achieve certain things, they bring on guilt to themselves for achieving or exceeding in those things, especially if they feel like, or if it's presented like, or they perceive people are being left behind, or they can't do everything for everyone. I'm sure you heard plenty of stories of that, especially for a lot of people that, you know, are celebrities who make a certain level, and there's a lot of people who lost a lot because of the culture of guilt, right? They tell you the story of they try to take care of the whole entire neighborhood because they felt whatever they achieved, that was their onus. That was their responsibility to do that. So you have this culture of guilt. And a lot of people move into uncharted territory. So we're going to unpack that today. We're going to hear our guest's journey, story, while she's still navigating, living in her legacy. We're going to unpack that silent struggle of first generation greatness. We're going to unpack from doubt to identity, because that's what it's about. It's about figuring out who we are, creating our own identity. And it may be a new identity. That is what I believe is part of our journey as we go, is continuing to rediscover what we are. We already know, I believe, whose we are, and I already know my I am, but the what is rediscovering that identity. So we go from looking for outside validation to actually our living legacy, whatever that means to you. And we're talking about what it really feels like to just redefine all the limiting beliefs, all the things that you took on that's not yours, that may be somebody else, while still trying to believe in your own. All right, I'm going to get ready to introduce my guest. So let me just check on her real quick. How are you all this evening? Say hello, hello, hello. Let me know where you are listening from. Make sure we got the right link as well. We got some. Do we have some on Facebook? I have a new. Do you all like my new setup? I got a new setup here. And what better time to roll it out than today's segment? So our guest is here. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our amazing guest, Miss Sherie Randolph-Dunham. She's affectionately known as Auntie Ree. She's a transformational speaker. She's an author and the founder of T.E.A.M Luv LLC, a champion for healing, self-love, and breakthroughs. I met Sherie. We both were part of, or are part of, Next Level Speakers Academy. It's a speaking group that's led by Jeremy Anderson, E.T., Inky Johnson together. And they have amazing coaches here in Atlanta, a group here in Atlanta. Amazing, amazing 3 individuals that pulls people together and pull your best out. And I met Sherie there. She's based here in Atlanta. She's been here for over 25 years. She's a devoted wife of 34 years. So Miss Sherie, Auntie Ree, understands commitment and sacrifice. When you hear people's story, there's a lot there. There's a lot that you can unpack when you want to understand their glory. There's a lot that goes in their story. And she's been a devoted wife for 34 years, a proud mother of one who is a U.S. Army veteran. Thank her for her service. And a passionate grandmother whose grandson, she will let you know, will tell you, has inspired her to fully step in her purpose in 2020. Her grandbaby, that's her why. We all have our whys, and we have to recognize and define what those are. They're a part of our assignment. They're a part of our, and I'm not even going to say motivation, they're a part of our transformation. She was raised in a large matriarchal family. Those of us who understand how it went and how it happened, old school, understands this. My mother came from a large family, a large amount of siblings. Her grandmother was the oldest of 17 children. Her mother, the oldest of 10 children. And Miss Auntie Ree, Miss Sherie, the oldest of 4 siblings and 37 grandchildren. Like, that speaks volume. But we also know when you come from these large, amazing, beautiful families, there's a lot that can come with it as well. A whole lot that can come with it as well. That can cause all types of trauma, as we would identify it as. But really, they are problems that are situated in a way that if we awaken and become aware of them, to wake up something that's in us. But Miss Sherie overcame her deep childhood trauma, or have had her awakening in those experiences from this large family. She has overcame generational cycles and life altering adversities. This includes, people listen up, because a lot of us say we can't do, it can't happen. We say, why me? We ask all the wrong questions. But Auntie Ree overcame so many adversities, including homelessness, addiction, depression, and I'm going to slow up, near death experiences. There are no excuses. There are no why me's. The question is, why not me? All of it together forms your story and your assignment. Just become deep in that. So despite it all, she became a first generation college graduate, and she continues to build a living legacy rooted in faith, resilience, and truth. I wanted to slow down right there because I want you to really hear how she is where she is. And we're talking about Sherie today, Auntie Ree today. But this is a mirror that's reflecting so many other people out there that also are walking, living legacies with gifts within them, but may not be pushing forward because they're so caught up in those things that are supposed to be awakening them. But despite it all, if you are rooted in your faith, resilience, and truth, you can do it. And with over 40 years of experience as a nurse, an educator, an operations leader, and like I just told you, an entrepreneur, she brings lived wisdom. It's nothing like experiences that speaks to experiences. You can't study this stuff. You can't take these classes and try to learn what to say to people. That's not how you get your credentials. It's this lived wisdom and radical authenticity that you need and that she brings to every stage she graces. And through her Auntie, her AUNTIE framework, Auntie Ree, Miss Sherie, leads others from brokenness to wholeness. One truth, one breakthrough, one life at a time. So her mission is clear: to help others heal, rise, and love themselves forward. So with no further ado, I'm going to bring Miss Auntie Ree to the stage to shine her light.
Hey.
Hello, how are you?
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you wonderfully.
Okay, my lights are good.
You look good.
Okay, okay.
Lights are good. Good vibes only. I see right there in the back. Everything is on point. And of course, that beautiful smile and your shine. You shining, you glowing.
I'm jealous of your hair.
And you know what? Everything was intentional today. Got the hair going on for today, got the background changed. Good vibes. It's that mood. It's that mood.
That's
Thank
right. That's
you.
right.
Yeah, I had to wear her out. You know, I actually cut her all off. Was it 2 years ago? Cut her all off. And I decided to let her come back. She was
Okay.
used to be named the Afro attorney. But we don't have the Afro attorney anymore. She just came back full of
I love
life.
it.
Thank you. Thank you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. And that intro, thank you. Thank you. I was like, okay, where was she like 20 years ago when I needed someone to explain me?
Yes. Yeah, that's what happens when people really pay attention and really go into allowing themselves to let the words that want to be spoken about somebody be spoken. So it's not just me just speaking it, met you, amazing individual, studied you, know your story, but I relinquish all that and become a conduit for the words that wants to be spoken about you. And so I enjoy the words that come out too as I'm listening. So yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes.
Is it
Yes.
raining over there?
Off and on. Off and on, it's been raining. It's cold. I was ready to make me a pot of chili.
I
I'm
love
cold.
it.
I'm cold natured. So yeah, I was like, it's too cold. I need some chili.
I gotta taste your chili. I have to taste your chili.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Love to cook. I'm a foodie too. That's one thing you maybe didn't know about me yet, but you'll find out more.
Oh, a foodie. What a way to the soul. Stomach to the soul. All right. So we're gonna get into it. You have an amazing, amazing story. Like many of us have, and I always love, and I'm so grateful for this platform. So it allows me to hear just the different stories, to see the different paintings. The art of the creator is just so amazing. And I'm so happy and thrilled to share the stage with you today because you share the stage. You go on stages and you speak to people, like you said, like I said earlier, transformational speaker. I mean, there's a difference. There's motivation, there's inspiration, and you can get some of that in both. But there's something about that transformation and a person who literally have went through the trenches and has transformed and continue to transform can speak to transformational speaking. So I want to go back a little bit. Let's just talk about Let's go back and look at just this whole ideal of just the black sheep, right? What does that mean? You came from a very large family. What does that mean for you? Like, what did that mean being a black sheep? What that look like? Is it rebellion, ambition, being misunderstood? What is it?
So for me, it was misunderstood, definitely. It was you look rebellious to outsiders, but you're really not. And it's just misunderstood, goody two shoe. You want to be better than everybody. Um, you're sneaky. All the negative things for just wanting to be yourself. At a young age, I think maybe 4 or 5, I noticed it. I grew up in California, started in California with my paternal grandparents. And so out there in California, you're talking about the 70s. I was in Southern California, North Hollywood, Burbank, that area. So it's diverse. So I'm getting along with everyone. I have African American friends, Mexican friends, white friends. So I don't really know color at this time. It's just whoever treats me good, I treat them good. And then I come back to Pennsylvania where all of my family is. And then that's where the name calling, that's when the confusion started. And I'm like, but what did I do? I didn't do anything. And I'm just being myself. I'm just playing. And I want to play with the boys. I want to ride my bike. So it started at an early age and it was confusion. It made me change, because when I was younger, I was always laughing and joking. And my grandpa worked at this movie studios, and he would take me to work with him every day. And everybody just loved me. I'd be taping for commercials. I was taping for a Wonder Bread commercial.
Oh,
Um, just the center of attention, just the biggest, brightest personality. And it didn't take long for it to go. I go back to Pennsylvania with my grandparents, and you're too black, you're blacky, you're too smart, um, you're sneaky, you want to be better than everybody, you talk too white. So beginning in my childhood, that's how it looked for me.
so let's go back. So when you get this, because you said California, Pennsylvania, are you getting this from both in family, outside family? Because like you said, as kids, you see people outside, they're one way. Are you getting, especially, let's be very transparent. That's what
Yes.
elevation is about. Seek elevation stage. We know colorism is an issue, right? We talk about and we raise Cain about racism and stuff, but we know in our families too, and outside colorism is. So when you experiencing some of this stuff that you're naming, is this defining the black sheep in the family as well as outside of the family?
So inside the family first.
Oh,
Um, in California, like I said, I didn't really experience racism.
okay.
I didn't know the name for it back then, but of course, as you know, times change, evolve. Definitely colorism first.
Okay.
Definitely colorism first. On my maternal side, most of my family are very, very fair complexion, mixed, fair complected. So for me, I'm already brown skinned, but coming back from California after years, I was like dark, dark.
Yes.
And so I didn't know what racism was before I knew what colorism was. I just didn't know a name for it.
Wow. And that's deep right there, what you just said. Listen, I didn't even know what racism was before I knew what colorism was. And even though, like you said, I know a name for it, that's still the name for something where a particular race may be oppressing you, right? Because I think a lot of us use a
Mhm.
lot of words just to use them. Racism is totally different than prejudice. Racism is something totally different and bigger. But to the point you're making, some of the stuff that you're saying is a lot of colorism, especially coming from the family. So, what age was this, and how did you internalize that? How did that affect you? You was a happy, smiling, like you said, chirpy kid. How did you internalize that, and how did that start affecting your identity? At what age and what happened?
So it made me start doubting myself. When I first got back, it was a few years. I was still, participating in stuff in the school plays, trying out for the number one person in the play and all of that. And it would just continue. And, my grandma would give me all these little phrases to say, like, blacker the berry, sweeter the juice. They call me names. Well, that's okay. You tell them this. Or I was really short. That would be outside of the home, because most me and my siblings are short. So, but outside the house, I was short. So I get name calling, and my grandma would say, well, tell them, good things come in small packages. And so she would just give me little things. And, when I look back, she never made me fight negative. She would always give me good things to say. But then maybe 9, 10, I didn't see it at the time, but I see that's where I started withdrawing, wanting to be in my room, wanting to just be away from everybody, not wanting to be seen. Because if I go to school or if I do something, I'm going to do it right, but it's going to be wrong to everybody else. I get 100 on my test, it's going to be wrong. I want to be in track, it's going to be wrong. Anything that positive that I wanted to do was bad. And
And I
so I was always a loving person. And so I would weigh it and be like, okay, do I want to excel and do good? Like, this is my norm. This is what I do. I don't, I'm not doing it to compete with anybody. Or do I just do good, but then don't tell nobody, so I don't get celebrated? Because then I don't want everybody to be mad at me.
mm, and that's what I was mentioning earlier about that guilt. And what I want us to hear right here, because this is early childhood. You start withdrawing around 9, 10. These are those bricks that's already being laid, right? And when we talk about entrepreneurship and we talk about, forging these paths, operating in our gifts in any industry, what we forget about are all these brick layers. As a bricklayer, these different bricks that were laid that has to be undone. That's affecting us and how we actually operate and move and sharing our gifts. That's huge. You said 9 and 10. I had to think to myself, do I excel or should I hold back a little bit to be accepted? That carries over. Everything, right? Do I excel in this thing I'm doing or do I hold back in this thing I'm doing? And then it becomes second nature. We're not even thinking about that. You had that
Right.
conversation mentally, right? But then it becomes automatic because you train the mind to do the thing that you told it to do. All right, so keep going. So 9 and 10, you start to withdraw. You start to. What did you start seeing at that age? And let's kind of go up a little bit from high school. When you deciding to withdraw from things, was that making life better for you, or what were you feeling?
It was not. It didn't make it better for me. It made me struggle more within because I would do what I felt like I needed to do to please everybody, to keep the peace. But then when I'd be by myself, you lay your head on that pillow, then I'm beating myself up. Like, you knew how to do this. Why didn't you do it? Why did you hide? Why are you afraid of what people will say? So what if they don't want to talk to you? So it was just like a constant, like, just mental struggle. Like, I wanted to do it. I had the courage to do it, but then I chose people over what I knew I could do and have the courage to do, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, it does. So now let's fast forward. All these things that people are trying to tell you are a defect to you. That's what they want you to realize for them because they can't recognize, or they're just conditioned in the mindset they're conditioned in. And let's not forget, a lot of them have their experiences, right? So everyone is feeling the residual of somebody else's experience. But when was it that you started realizing that your difference, whether it's skin tone, being smart, excelling, wasn't a defect, but this was a part of your destiny?
I didn't really know what it was. I knew I was different, but I
Okay,
didn't embrace it. So I'd have to go back to like 7.
let's go back. Okay.
I was living with my grandparents still at the time, and there was a big church up the street from the house. And back in the 70s, you slept with the doors open, the windows open, and kids could walk home from school and have lunch and go back and just walk downtown, walk uptown. And so there was this big church I always wanted to go in. Grandparents didn't take me to church. So I would just go up there a couple Sundays and I'd sit down in the steps. They had stairs that went down to the basement area, and I was too afraid to go in. So I would sit on these steps and I'd listen to the music and then I'd go home. And I never understood, like, why do I want to go in that church? Like, what is it about church? So it was like I always felt something in me, but I didn't understand it. And I think that's probably what kept me from not being rebellious and mean to people when people were mean to me, is because I had that spirit inside of me all along, um, but didn't really know. It wasn't nurtured.
Okay, so you had that spirit inside of you. You can't put your finger on it. And that's
Mm-mm.
what a lot of us, right? Someone had posed a question to me a while ago, was like, what was it that made you do things differently, right? Because we hear all these stories and statistics. If you're this or that, then this is supposed to be the outcome. And what was it that made you do things differently? You can't really put your hand on it. I mean, I can say, of course, the general stuff that we can recognize, right? Just
Right.
being motivated by my mom, who's a strong single mother. There was times I became impregnated before I had a scholarship, and then I became impregnated. I had to forfeit that scholarship, and then I had to motivate myself that no, I'm not going to be that statistic. So I know there's things, but there's something inside of us that you can't quite put your finger on that's just in there, that you're trying to latch on to that light, to do more, be different, and break through. So I hear what you're saying when you say you can't really identify it, but you knew something was in there. Okay, so keep fast forwarding. You're going
So,
through these things.
so fast forward to high school.
Okay.
I get accepted to 4 major universities, and I don't have any adult support. Of course, I'm a first gen, wanting to go to college, graduated high school, and maybe 2 weeks before I had my roommate picked out, my dorm, everything. 2 weeks before, I froze and I didn't go. Wanted to be a pediatrician from the age of 4. So I knew what I was doing. I knew what I wanted to do. I was a track star, ran track since 8th grade, and froze and didn't go. Didn't know what to do. I had a fear that if I start, how am I going to finish? Who's going to help me? Who's going to give me money? I don't have money to go. So I did get a few scholarships and took them and went to the community college and became a nurse. Wasn't what I wanted to do, but I wanted to do something because, again, I always wanted to excel. I think when I finally gave up a little bit is when I got pregnant with my daughter. People still were not receiving me. I was still the black sheep. I gave up on college. And then I have my daughter, and now I'm struggling. It was unplanned, struggling, and I'm beating myself up for real this time. And I'm like, okay, if you would have went to college, maybe this wouldn't have happened, or maybe that wouldn't have. Maybe you wouldn't have got pregnant. Maybe you'd be a doctor. Maybe you'd have money. These same people that didn't put a gun to my head, but as a young child, had me afraid to excel, still aren't talking to me. You still haven't done anything to them. They're still doing the same thing. So they're not excelling. So they don't want me to excel. Now I got this baby, this life I'm responsible for. I'm struggling. And I think that's when the light started to come on a little. Like, okay, like these people are going to take you out.
Right. So there's a lot of commonality there. You mentioned a lot of things, and I'm just like overwhelmed just even hearing it. But something I want to go back to, like you said, and this is something I want us to hear. This is why I like to hear people's journey, because everything is connected, and we just think, oh, I don't know how to do this, or I don't know how to handle business, or I don't. It's bigger than that. There's these things that we have to dismantle in order to continue to be in our greatness. And the one thing that you said earlier is you procrastinated. I didn't do it because you was thinking all of the things that was not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
We have 50-50 in anything, something that's going to go great, or possibly things that don't go the way that we expect them. But for some reason, we lean towards that 50% of things will possibly go the way that we don't think. And we hold on to that. That is something that you said you thought, and obviously that was a residual of just your experience of different things. You started training yourself to hold back, as Priska said, holding back being excellent, right? You thought to yourself, maybe I hold back. That training of holding back being excellent now gives our mind the excuses or the validation of why we should not be excellent. And like you said, you already was saying things will probably not work out. But at one point, and this is us, when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you said, they're not going to take me out. We go through cycles of this. You said, I'm not going to let them take me out. And then what?
I went back to the same thing. Family was different back in the 70s. We were family. We went to grandma's house. We went to great grandma's house. First cousins were brothers and sisters.
Yes.
Brothers and sisters were first best friends. It was different. So even though I was thinking that in my head, it was like, okay, but they're my family. Blood is thicker than water, you know, whatever. Secrets stay in the house. You can't be mad at this person if they do that, or, oh, you know, that's what happened to them. They're just repeating the cycle. And so I loved family. I was a family person. Um, I believed in family growing up like that and having that, you know, but times change, things evolve. And so it was hard. It was hard. I went right back. I went right back because to me, I waited. Okay, um, do I just stay away or do I keep I'm thinking in my head, I'm doing something. So do I just stay away and say, okay, forget them? Or now I'm out here, I don't have any family, but now you don't have cousins, you don't have siblings, you don't have aunts, you want to go to the family cookout, you want to go to the Thanksgiving dinner. Um, so I didn't know how to handle the situation. Just, you know, okay, well, you'll get a job someday, or maybe you'll get money one day. Do you want to choose living a good life, which I never saw anyone else do, or be with family? I didn't have any example to look at.
Well, what you just said, because you said I never saw anyone else do. So I'm going to pose this question to you. Like you said, you went back with family and you named all the things, right? I think a lot of us in the chat, whether you are on YouTube, Facebook, where you at, you could chime in on this, especially it's not cultural specific, but I can't speak for other cultures.
Mhm.
Speak for mine. A lot of things that you just named in there, absolutely. Our mindset is always, family first, family everything. And one thing you said was, secrets, everything here. This is just how it is. So,
Mhm.
was there a lot of going back or falling back in line? Was that a lot of guilt that if you possibly chose a different path than what your family was expected or what was expected of family or needed? Was there any guilt in there, or was it just strictly familiarity?
So for me, it was so when I went through what I went through in my childhood, I think what it made me do is always take up for the underdog. So for me in school, because I was smart, I was back then, not to use stereotypes, but back then I was a nerd. I was in all the smart classes, I was in all the honor classes. So for me, and then I was athletic. So I could fit in with the athletes. I fit in with everybody, but because of what I went through in my family, it kind of made me introverted, but then I was still there. So I was confused. Like on one hand, I'd be introverted, but on the other hand, I'd still be wanting to be this bubbly person that I was. So in order to deal with what I was going through, it made me want to protect the kids that wouldn't stand up for themselves
And this is in school, you're saying?
in school. And so then as I got older and I had my daughter, then I had to start standing up for my daughter. And that's when I put my foot down. That's when I said, okay, I dealt with this because I was 20, 21. And I said, okay, I with this from the age of 4. I was like, I'm breaking this cycle. Like they didn't want to break cycles. They didn't want to go to high school. They didn't want to go to college. They didn't want to do this. They didn't want to do that. My daughter will not deal with people rejecting her because of her hair. And this is family I'm speaking of, because of her hair's not straight enough. She's too dark skinned. She's too smart. She wants to excel in school. And so I put my foot down and I left. I left Pennsylvania. Didn't know where I was going. Well, I knew where I was going, but I didn't know anybody there. Um, so I had got me a good full-time job, was making decent money. Nursing didn't work out for me. That's when I really started dealing with the racism a lot, was when I graduated nursing school. I graduated the second in my class out of 21 nurses, 3.8 GPA on the dean's list the whole
Okay.
2 years.
Applause.
Um,
Okay. Go
Yes.
ahead.
And so I'm at my internship, and we get to pick like 3 doctor offices we want to be in. And so I picked my 3, and I got none of the 3. And they put me with this older white doctor. That was back in 87, 88, 88, 88. Um, they still didn't want to receive us in doctor offices. So he had older patients. He was an internal medicine doctor. The patients did not want me touching them. I could not be in the room without anybody else. And so that's where it really kicked in, with the racism. And so I'm like, man, I did all this hard work. I'm like, this is what I wanted to do. Maybe I'll go and finish to be a doctor. It didn't work. It was hard. It was a struggle. And again, I was right back to the same thing. No adult standing up for me. 19, trying to fight myself, trying to figure out, okay, how do I fight these people? And then back then, you either saw the help wanted sign on the window, or you got the newspaper, and you interviewed over the phone. And you actually would get the job,
Yeah.
and then you would go in with your credentials and start working. Well, I would get the job over the phone and get there, and they saw I was Black, and we don't have the job anymore. So
Ooh.
who am I going to tell? What am I going to do? I got this baby. Yeah, just a mess. Just a mess.
No. Well, listen, and I want us to, realize something. And mind you, when I point out something, it's because I want us to be victors and to continue to heal. As
Yes.
Jamal Roberts' song, oh my gosh, that heal, heal, heal. Like I point these things out because in order for us to heal and to move forward and to be victors, we have to stand in truth. You just said this was the 80s. A lot of times we're talking about and people are saying things was way back. We're not dealing with, we never dealt with. No, these are very
No.
recent times of things that people have dealt with and continue to deal with. And in order for us to move forward and to be our best and excellent in whatever we do, we have to stand in truth. So I just wanted to point that out. You said that was just 88. What was that?
88.
88. It's your phone interviewing, showing up, and was like, you sounded the par,
Right.
but you don't look the par, which was so many laws, being violated then. Like you said, who knows? Who knows to talk about that, right?
Right.
Discrimination, all these things. You're just like, oh, I showed up. Think of how many people possibly let go situations, thinking they had a situation. So now here you are in your story. You continue to build resilience. You go through that. So how did you continue in your process of you needed the job? At this point, you have a child, right? Your daughter.
Yes. Well, she was on the way.
Oh, she was on the way.
On the way.
Now she's even on the way. So what did that continue to look like in your resiliency? Okay, so you show up, you don't have no job. Now what? No one's supporting you. Or should I say, didn't know how. Not giving excuses to anyone.
No.
Hear me out, my listeners, my viewers. The one thing I learned in my maturity to as a human being and learning my evolution. I am where I am now, but I wasn't always that. And I'm not who I'm going to be. I put that on to other humans because even to the point you made about your family, all the things, some didn't want to do this or some didn't want to do that. A lot of them probably didn't know to want to do that. Thank goodness you broke free from that. But a lot of them don't know how to support. And sometimes in our guilt, because we don't know what to do, may show up as I'm not here for you because we don't know what to do. I'm just happy that you were able to turn that over for your daughter. Okay, give us some more. You about to have a child. You walk into these jobs. You don't have it. Now what? How are you surviving?
Just resilience. Don't really know how to explain. Just working little jobs here and there. So I did give up on the nursing industry.
Oh,
I did move to California. So I went back to California for a little bit with my grandma. And I was like, okay, let me try nursing out there. And so I went out there, I tried it. And it was good. It was successful. Got out there maybe 2 weeks, found a job, and it was going good. The doctor loved me. It was in a medical clinic. And so he had me work in the front end office, and it was in a clinic. They had other offices. And so they had got wind of me. He really loved me, and they wanted to hire me to be like the head nurse over the whole medical clinic. And didn't work again, racism this time. And
What was
so
it?
one of the older ladies that was there, she had been there forever, and she wanted the job. And so she just started sabotaging, and you know how it is. We don't stick together, and I didn't have anybody, out there to stick with me. And so just to get rid of the confusion, they didn't give me the position. And so I ended up leaving. I was a runner. I ran a lot. When I
Mm.
got frustrated and I felt all alone, like I didn't have any help, like I knew I wanted to fight, but I didn't know how to fight. I say we didn't have computers back then. We didn't have social media. Like you didn't have a lot of resources. And if you didn't have, for me, I felt if you didn't have adults, like how do you fight adults? Because now at this time, I'm 21, maybe going on 22. And so ended up going back to Pennsylvania. But when I went back, I had a plan to just leave and find somewhere to go and just get away from it all and just see if I could make it on my own. So I ended up getting, well, let me back up. When I went back, that was in 91, was a quota. The Department of Labor had Sprint hiring African Americans, and they had to hire 6 of us, and I was one of the 6. And I got this job. It was a really good job. Again, just a lot of black sheep, making good money. I had my college degree now. I'm making good money. And so now the hate's turned up even more. And all I'm trying to do is survive and take care of my daughter. And so I ended up starting to look on the job board and picked a place. My husband and I, we were together. We weren't married at the time. So he's high school. I'm an associate degree, no real careers, can't get into nursing. And so I tell him, if you're going, then you better come on because I'm gone. Me and Amber, I'm going to Virginia, and I'm gonna figure this thing out. Like I'm tired of figuring it out. I'm tired of all the chaos. I could do bad by myself. We don't need no family. Us 3, let's go. And that's what we did.
That's good. And I don't know if in your journey when you weren't meeting your financial needs, if you had any type of financial assistance, but if anybody
Mm-mm.
knows back then, well, I did when all the things I was trying to get it wherever I can get it to make it happen. I was blessed to be able to use my legs to give me those scholarships to get into college and do all the things. But I reached out for assistance. And it made me just think about what you just said, just being with your husband at that time. If you were even reaching out to get assistance from the government to help you, you better
So
not.
we always made too much. They always said I made too much. Um, and they would go by your gross, and I might be $20
I'm about to
over.
say, because the make too much is extremely low poverty
And
level,
we were
right? So,
poverty.
and
Yes,
that's poverty. And they'll say you make it too much. It was like, if I make a dime less, I mean, but
right.
for me, because I remember meeting an amazing social worker, and I remember the story she will always tell me, I see something great in you. And I'm
Hmm.
gonna do this I'm gonna do something for you because I want you to just be able to focus on college. But the point I was making was when I was getting assistance, especially when it was, in New York, that's why I started. Then I went to the South, which was a whole nother experience. Getting that to help me, you know, do the things I need to do. The one thing you couldn't mention is that you knew your child's father. Because it made me think about that when you said you was with your child's father. It was that dynamic that was broken up. If you get any type of assistance, You better not know your child's father. And if you do know your child's father, you better be giving us their name
Right.
so we can tag them in the system and drain everything. So it's just a very challenging way to maneuver. But it's good to hear that even in your poverty level, you was able to be with your daughter, be with your boyfriend at the time, and not have to worry about that and figure out how to navigate that together. Okay. So now you fast forward, you say you are here now with your uh, uh, boyfriend at the time, not husband, your child. So keep going. Bring me along. How does that look?
So just working and struggling, working and
Working it and
struggling.
struggling. So
No,
where
there was more inside of me, knowing I wanted to do more. But I can't go back to school because we need money to take care of the baby.
right?
And just day by day, just struggling. Um, Lost cars and just struggling.
I was just about to ask you that. When did the homelessness come in place? But before we get there, I wanted to go back because you said you kept getting these things like the, turn down when you showed up in person. This other person sabotage, whatever. Then you got an opportunity because of this token situation. Are those a lot of things that started building up imposter syndrome in you? Like you went from you knew you were excellent, you knew you were these things, and you were suppressing it. But now
Mhm.
you're experiencing these things and you have dealt with imposter syndrome. So was it these things like, wow, I don't get opportunity unless it's part of a system where they have to, meet a quota. Like where does imposter syndrome started sneaking in for you?
So for me, I feel like it started in my childhood, and then outside of the home, it impacted it. Yes, because for me in the family, the imposter syndrome was don't excel because you're going to be hated. In the outside world, in the workforce, it was don't excel because you're black and you're not going to get anything anyway. And so for me, it was like double. And I feel like going through all that stuff, like you said, with the nursing, with the being a quota, everything I did wasn't good enough.
Okay.
But like I would excel, like I would do my best. I always got promotions. So in my 40 years of working, I never got fired. Always got promoted, but I couldn't make it into upper management. But it didn't stop me from trying. It didn't stop me from trying to excel. It just, there would be that cap. Okay, yeah, she's smart. Okay, yes, she knows the job. Okay, yes, she has good work ethic. She comes to work every day, but she's not the face that we want to see for our company. And I
Mm.
would work at I worked at Sprint. I worked at, like a lot of different major corporations, but I couldn't go but so far.
Mm. So how did this now bring me to how did this homelessness, like at what stage and place did this start to take
So the
place? What happened?
homelessness, the very first time, was when we went to California the first time. We went out there. We stayed for like 2 weeks. Like I said, I got a job right away. So it was like maybe between 2 weeks to a month. And my husband, well, my boyfriend at the time, he was having a hard time finding work. And my grandmother didn't want him to stay there, and he
Mm.
put him out. My husband was looking for work. We were young, he didn't have any college education. So he just had to, find work. And it was like he didn't give him no time at all, put him out. And so I had to go with him
Wow.
because we're like 3,000 miles from home. He don't have any money. And me and my baby, my daughter at the time, she probably was maybe 5 months.
Oh.
And so I left with him and we went to a hotel. Um, I don't really remember all the
Yeah,
details,
yeah.
but we were probably in the hotel, I'd say maybe for like a week or two until I could get a paycheck and get an apartment.
Okay.
That was
What
our first time. And so it's just been like numerous of times. Like I said, I was always a runner. So if things weren't going right, and then I'd want to run back to. So once we were in Georgia, we moved here once for like a year. And then things weren't going good. So then I went back. We didn't have anywhere to go. So we stayed with my mother for a little bit. Um, Other times it was just not financially struggling, just not being able to afford a place, going to a hotel, staying in a hotel for a little bit until we could get another paycheck. So it was basically living paycheck to paycheck.
right? Which a lot of people still are. Is still not new. They
No,
make it
no
do.
savings,
No, yeah, most could just do it. We just do it a little
paycheck
bit.
to
We
paycheck.
just do a little bit better. So
Just
it's
mhm,
building resilience though. Like, because you're saying you're running, but you're running back to where you think is a comfort zone, but still when you get to a situation, it's not that comfortable,
mm-mm.
right? You still have to find this resiliency in you. So I want to fast forward all the way through all the stuff that you've been going through from childhood to your adulthood, having a child, realizing that it's not just me. I have to figure this out for us. When did you start building that resiliency, and what did that start looking like when you started seeing that change, and that I don't want to use the word consistency, but semi breakthrough, to say I'm on this path right now where you're tapping into Auntie Reed, that assignment for you. How did that start looking like for you? When did you recognize that?
So probably back in 2004. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I decided that I needed to start, because I knew God, I believed in God. Like I said, we weren't born and raised in the church. My daughter was maybe like 11 at the time. And I was like, okay, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of struggling. Like, I want her to see more. I want better for her. And so I started going to church, because I always said if I sent my children to church, I would go with them. A lot of times my parents would send us and they wouldn't go with us. We'd have like neighborhood churches come through and take us. So I think that's when I went to church. I started really getting into the Bible, started getting more in touch with my prayer life. And I think that's where the shift first started. Not the Auntie Ree, but just
Okay. Just that first
knowing
shift.
that first shift.
What was that? Explain that. Like, what do you mean? Like, did you feel a shifting? Did you see something? What is the shift to you? Like, what, and if you can even put it in words, what was that shift? Was it something turned on in your head to
In
make
my
different?
head, just knowing, okay, I know there's a God. I know, there's a higher power. I've tried this stuff for year after year after year after year after year,
Mm,
and I ain't get it right yet. Like, there has to be a better way. God has to be up there for something, and just wanting to get more spiritual knowledge. And so that's where the shift started for me.
and what do you feel you started seeing that you can now use it to speak to people now? Like, how did it impact your life then to be a presence now? That
Mhm.
first shift.
So that first shift, like I said, I just went all in, was taking Bible classes, praying, just getting more in touch with my spiritual
And did you start
and
seeing things like kind of dots
divine
connecting?
intervention. Just like,
There
oh,
we go. That's what I get. So you started seeing this divine intervention. You
this
started seeing,
divine
at one
intervention.
point, Sherie, I was doing everything and it just did not seem to work. But then I started finding this groundedness in this spiritual walk because I just let it go. And I'm sick and
Mhm.
tired. I couldn't do. And you started seeing these divine interventions that it had to be more than you. It had to be bigger than you for you to now move forward and make it through the things that you were making it through, or opportunities landing the way that they landed. Is that correct?
Mhm. Yes. Mhm.
Absolutely.
And so
Okay.
I just went all in, and my daughter, she loved church. We were getting involved in church, and prayer life and just things turning up, and then just
Right.
learning how to start looking at money different.
Mm.
You know, I started getting my credit together. I started saving. I started knowing, and this time I was probably 28, maybe, still in my mid 20s,
Right.
still young, and started saving and just wanted more, you know. And by this time, I'm really beat down. So it's like in my head, I'm just doing this for my daughter. Like I could care less about me. Like I done been through enough. Like I don't care. But this child did not ask to be brought here. And I got to do what I need to do. And so just save, learned how to save money, got my credit together, bought my first house, and ended up finding out that I had a calling to be with children. So I was working in the nursery at church, and all the ladies were like, that's your gift. Like, that's your gift. Your gift is babies. Like, you have that nurturing spirit. They love you, blah, blah, blah. And so I went online and got me a diploma degree in early childhood education and did that for the next, fast forward, for the next 14, 15 years, and was really accomplished at it. Ended up getting some other certifications, and just started seeing that shift from there. Um, After that, kind of fell back with family. Um, but
What
it
do you
was
mean by
still
that? You kind of fell
so trying
back?
to go back. So
Oh,
in Georgia, when I would want to see them, I always had to travel home. If
okay.
I would ask them to come visit me, they'd be like, you decided to move way down there. That's your problem. And they wouldn't want to come visit. So again, just to me, felt like just pushing myself on family, because
Okay.
it was like if I didn't go to visit them, then it was like they wouldn't care to see me or not. And they were like, you moved down there, you moved away. That's on you. Why'd you move way down there? And so then I started going back into that um, depression and just wanting to be with family, feeling like I was missing something, not, you know, being a part of family or just being tolerated because we were family. Like they always raised us like, okay, you have to accept family. Like blood is thicker than water. So if you want to see us, you come see us.
And that's funny that you said that blood is thicker than water, but it's to your detriment, right?
The, right,
Blood is thicker than water,
right.
but family's everything. But if you don't come see me,
Then, oh
then
well.
we're not gonna see you. And that's a trauma we deal with too, right? And that when we think about our family dynamic, it has a lot to do with our relationships with people in business and stuff too. We don't realize we
Hmm.
tie that stuff in. When we think about how we had to move, how we you know, was forced to accept certain relationships, a lot of that has to do with how we move in the relationships outside of us. Either we recluse, we allow people to talk down to us, we accept
Hmm.
anything, you know, we feel like certain titles, because remember, family's a title, right?
Right.
We feel like certain titles in industries or workplaces means I accept these things no matter what, and I'm the one who will make the concession. All
Mhm.
these things has a lot to do with our mental state and how we move in general. Our mind doesn't really know to parse and separate uh, all of it. It just creates an entire experience. So when you start unlearning a lot of this, what did you have to start unlearning the most? If you can identify, start unlearning the most in order for you to walk in your self-worth and to fully stand in your power, and something that you can share with people when you're on these stages. What did you have to unlearn the most?
Yes. What I had to unlearn the most was that I don't need other people to validate me. And it's okay to not be okay. And also, what's really, really important that I want young people to know is you have to just embrace who you are. It starts with truth. A lot of times we know who we are, we know what we feel on the inside, we know what our gifts are. But a lot of times, again, we let family suppress that in us. We let people outside the family suppress that in us. And you have to set boundaries. It doesn't matter who it is. And so that's what I had to learn. That was the hardest thing for me, was learning how to set the boundaries, but not only set them, enforce them. You can't give a pass to mom. You can't give a pass to dad. You can't give a pass to brother, sister. There's a way to set boundaries.
Children.
Love from a distance. You can
Right.
love from a distance. And so that's what I had to unlearn, was just standing up for myself, knowing that, okay, these boundaries aren't because I'm mad at you. These boundaries are because I need to protect my peace. I need to protect my health. Stress will take you out of here. And there was one point in my life where I was struggling so much medically. And it was all due to stress. Well, I have high blood pressure, which is hereditary. I had that since I was 19. But there was a period back, and not too long ago, this was back in 2017, I was struggling with high blood pressure, obesity, sleep apnea, insomnia. I had an ovary tumor on one of my ovaries. I had a tumor on one of my breasts. This was all at the same time. What else did I have? Going through premenopause. That's a whole nother talk. And so I was going through all of that. And all of it was just because I was struggling with who I really was. Wanting to set these boundaries, but afraid of what the outcome would be. But knowing that, okay, you're like in your mid 40s now, you got to do this now. Like, you don't have much time to do this. And so that was the hardest part, because like I said, if I didn't go visit family, they weren't going to come see me. And so when I started setting these boundaries, I was like, okay, well, I can't go see them, because then they're not going to take my boundaries serious. So I had to unlearn that just don't go to be tolerated, because you're going to be starting all over. My daughter was fussing at me. My husband was fussing at me. Like, you let them people do whatever they want to do to you. You let them walk over you. Let them talk to you any kind of way. You cry, you lose sleep. You can't make people live the way you want them to live, because you think it's the right way to live.
Right.
Especially when it comes to like abuse and addictions and things like that. I just was always that person that wanted to see the best for everybody. Even if I'm not doing good, I want to see somebody do good. And I think that's where that imposter syndrome played a part too, because I didn't care sometimes if I wasn't doing good, but can I see somebody do good? I just want to see somebody do good.
And that B word's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Boundaries. But you see how you even said, when you decided, and even though you knew in your hearts of hearts that it was time for those boundaries, you had a question, said, okay, what would happen when I do this? That's that same 10-year-old who said, what would happen when I show up excellent?
Mm-hmm.
Do I have to put, what is the result of me showing up in my excellence? Now you're in your 40s. What is the result of me, laying down these boundaries, which is excellence? So what I want us to hear, and I'm sure you share this on the stages, is when we're trying to undo a lot of things right now, we look so surface level. We listen to all the books, audio books, read all the books, hear all the talks, but we have to go all the way back to see how is everything tied to the now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first thing I heard. When you said you realize in your 40s about boundaries, the first thing you thought about what's going to be the result of this was the same 10-year-old. What's going to be the result if I show up doing the thing that I'm supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
So that divine intervention you had, and correct me if I'm incorrect, what I'm hearing too is that was the first shift. But when you had this divine intervention, you started making these changes and standing 10 toes down on things, right? Because you just decide, I'm just going to unlearn something. It's something that was nudging you to unlearn something, to learn about money, to do these things. Was that a part of this knowingness that was beyond your knowingness of why you're just moving that way?
It was just the Holy Spirit, becoming a prayer warrior, and just having that fasting, and just having that one-on-one relationship with God. My faith just unmovable. Um, that's where it started. That's what helped me. And then just trying to be obedient to the Spirit, because we always say, oh, something told me. No, then something tell you God told you. That's Holy Spirit told you. And so 2021 is when I kept feeling that nudge, and I kept hearing to get professional help, that it's okay to not be okay. And, a lot of times people, well, if you believe in God, then why you got to go to therapy? And it's so taboo in our community. And so I decided to go. I never went before, but I'm like, okay, I done tried everything else. And now I hear God telling me to do this. And so this is what I'm going to do. And so I did. And it took a minute. And I just love speaking about mental health too, because I want people to know, if you're thinking about trying it, just try. Like, it's not taboo. Like, it may take you a few times, because it took me, I don't know, maybe 4 therapists to find the right match, but I didn't quit. And I think that's the one thing about me is the biggest is my resilience. No matter what I've been through in my life, no matter what I go through, I get knocked down, I'm getting back up. I can't stay down. I have to get back up. So doing therapy, and once I started it, I just had my mind made up. Okay, like, this is it. And I was in three years, like, working it, like it was a full-time job, like it was paying me. And so that was my second shift. And so that's where I am right now. And so I'm like the poster child for mental health. That's why I decided to be a public speaker, not because I want to run up on stages, because I'm still introverted. But I want to see unity in our people. I want to see love in our people. I want to see community in our people. I want to see us just come together more. I may not be here to see it, but if I can do for one person, that's good for me. Like, I know I'll hear God say, job well done, my good and faithful servant. Like, that's one of the things that is on my bucket list, for lack of a better way to explain it. I'm in the process of getting ready to publish my 3rd book. And when I wrote the first book, it was God. It was all God orchestrated. I heard him say, write this book. It was about how I discovered my purpose when I first got into the early childhood. And I told God, I said, because my relationship, I'm like, he's sitting right here in this chair next to me. And I'm like, God, if I write this book, I hear you telling me to write this book. If I write this book, I'm selling one book and then I'm done. Because I always was introverted and wanted to be behind the scenes, and didn't really care to be out in the forefront. That might have came from the imposter syndrome, and the things that I went through. And so I ended up selling 200 of that book. Didn't really promote it like that. Made it to 3 different countries. It's on Amazon. And I'm not trying to do a sales commercial.
No,
But
this is not. First of all, say the name of the book. Don't even
yes, yeah.
give into that.
But it's just I get excited when I talk about the young people, because that's why I go by Auntie Ree, because before I leave this earth, Auntie Ree is going to save some nieces and nephews.
Absolutely. No. And you speak what you have out there that came through you. And don't worry about if someone thinks it's a sell or not. Whatever's supposed to land on someone's supposed to land on someone.
Yes, praise God.
Never cut that off. First of all, what is the name of the book?
The Journey to Discovering and Living on Purpose.
The Journey to Discovery and Living on Purpose. And that's available on Amazon.
That's available on Amazon. Yes.
Okay. Yes. No. the reason why you are led to do those things is because it's supposed to get out to who was supposed to get out to, who was called to that thing. And like I said, change doesn't happen in silence. So you speak on those things that's supposed to happen, and we don't discount them. And the Most High is not just beside us, within us, all around us, and everywhere. So yeah, you were moved to do that. I can't wait to know what the next
So
book
my
is.
second book, the second book came out last April, and
Okay.
that one came out of my mental health journey. I would say that was my true healing. I'm still being healed because we all go through stuff,
As long
but
as we're living, we're going to go through a healing journey. It doesn't stop
right,
until we stop.
it
It's
just
evolution.
continues to
Mhm.
shift. And so that second book came out of that, and that one is like part of my baby for mental health awareness. And that one is called Healing Mother Wounds, a journey of a journey of self-love and transformation.
I love that. And that's
Uh,
important. A journey of self love and
Love and
transformation.
transformation.
And because, like you said, I know you're here to help assist or guide, the people in love, unity, and community, but you're also here to assist individuals. We first have to find the love, unity, and community
Within
within
ourselves.
within ourselves. We
Yes.
have, the physical, the mental, the spiritual, the emotional. That is a community. We
Hmm.
have different parts of ourselves, and all of ourselves may not even be aligned and moved in different ways. We're not in unity, this community that we have. And some of
Hmm.
ourselves love ourselves and hate ourselves. So we start that love, community, unity within us. And transformational stories like yours brings that. So it's not just about changing one person in the world, it's changing that one person in their world.
In their
What
world.
is it
I
to
like that.
be of the world, gain everything outside and not this world, right? So
Hmm.
that's where it starts at. And that's one thing that, compelled me to you. I'm very intentional about the people I bring on a stage because I am, in my evolution, very aligned, very intuitive, and willing and receptive. And this is one thing I know your story, and there's even so much more to it. I feel it. So continue to definitely grace the stages.
Oh, yes.
Extrovert, introvert. We had a conversation about this one of the other shows. We're all a little bit of both. Some just have
Mhm.
predominant of the other. But when you move on that stage,
Hmm.
that's not just they call you Auntie Ree. That's Bree. But that's
Right.
Auntie Ree, the conduit to vessel. What's coming out of you, believe me, is all extra for everyone. So, but what
Yeah.
advice would you give, or do you give individuals who do feel, like outcasts, whether it's in their family or in the community? Like, what is some advice you can give from your mental health journey? What are some things that you have to get personal about what you talked about, but what can you give in general that you pulled from there?
So let me share my framework that I
Okay.
created.
Please do.
So it's Auntie. It's
Okay.
the A. So I write it out: A period, U period, N period, T period, I period, E period. It's Auntie, and the A is acknowledge your feelings, uncover your truth, nurture your spirit, trust the process, inspire, and empower. And that's basically what I did. And so I turned it into a framework. I'm in the process of creating a workshop now, so that I can teach that. And so I would just leave people with, like I said, you just have to know it's okay to not be okay. And talk to someone, journal. We have to start somewhere. We have to start somewhere. I decided that I was going to do, and of course it might come more, but for my mental health, I decided my birthday's in April. And so I finished my last therapy session April 2024. And so my birthday was coming this year. And I said, I'm going to do a mental health check in every year if nothing's going on. Because I do my body annual physical. So why can't I do my
Absolutely.
mental check in? And so I made an appointment and I told my therapist, I said, I'm doing a annual check in. And she said, it's funny you said that. And I was telling her what my thoughts were. And she said, it's funny you said that. She said, because I was just talking to a doctor about that. And they said that they should make guidelines with the health insurance companies where we get a dental exam every year. We get a vision exam every year. We get a body exam every year. But there's no recommendation for a mental exam every year. And she was like, that's really good. She was like, I'm so proud of you. I was like, yeah, I said, I got to keep this thing in order because it's good right now. So, but.
No, I love that because, like you said, you're dismantling things that are taboo, and the Most High, however you go by it, God, Yeshua, Allah, whatever it is through all of us, right? And so, in order for those vines, those branches to work from the grapevine and the different avenues, you have to go and sit there. Therapist is there too, as well. And like to the point, I like you brought up something important though. Find the right fit for you because you don't know what may be working through different people. Find the right one for you. And also, I'm gonna ask you this: kind of be prepared because I've seen this before. Sometimes we didn't do enough of the prep work for that, and you can sit somewhere and actually open up a portal of more grief and trauma and not really know how to deal with that. What did you do? Or did you need to do anything before? I know you was going through different therapists before you landed on the one you chose, but was there anything that you need to do before you open up those floodgates and didn't really know what to do with that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Consult with God.
Okay.
I don't do nothing without consulting with him.
Okay.
It could be the smallest things. And
Yes.
because I've experienced so much with my clarity, I fast on a regular basis.
Okay.
I do corporate fast with the church sometimes, but I do my own fast. I do
Okay.
my own prayer. I don't let a lot of people pray for me.
Mm.
I have a circle of prayer warriors.
Yes.
Now I'll pray. I mean, if somebody want me to pray for them, I'll pray for them. But I'm very
No.
passionate about
No,
that.
you're speaking it. We have to be
But
very careful. That, like I said, we're conduits. Let's not
mhm,
get up here and pretend. Like I said, on Seek Elevation stage,
mhm.
we challenge the status quo and we're very transparent. It's truth and it's light. Let's not pretend. We can be conduit for one thing or another.
Uh-huh.
So
That's right.
we
My
gotta be
discernment,
very
Sarah,
careful of, who you give permission to.
to
I do not believe anything can just happen to you, but you give permission first. And a lot of times we give
yes.
permission to things that we don't even know what we're giving permission to.
You
So that's why
that's
even when we talk,
good. That's
yeah, so we
good.
got to be
You yes.
very aligned to pay attention to that. That's why I said, even in the therapist thing, whoever you do, whatever you're doing, be in alignment first. Do the prep work first. Then you follow your insides. It will never fail you because it's in
Mhm,
you. It
mhm.
is definitely in you. I can't wait to. So, what's the third book? So you mentioned two, and you said there's a third one coming out.
Yeah, so you all will be the first to know because I
Uh
haven't really
oh.
announced it yet. So whoever got off of
Oh.
this call, they missed out. So the third book is Voices in My Head, God in My Heart,
Ooh,
A Journey of Identity, Faith, and Freedom.
beautiful.
And as this one is the New York Times bestseller. This
That
one is
listen.
this one is the one that nieces and nephews they gonna be knocking down the door. They gonna be, Auntie, can you help us, Auntie? Like I'm so excited in my whole introverted state of being.
I love it. And guess what? Now that you spoke it, like you said, you shared it to us, you spoke it, you're accountable on it, and it's going to, you spoke life into it. Words, speaking. That's why I love being a transformational speaker. That's why I love having my platform. Out of all the things that I do, I love things like this because the words are life. In the beginning was the word. The
Right.
words. That's where everything was created from the word.
Word.
And so you just spoke life into that, not just a best-selling New York. but you are going to save lives. You're
Yes.
going to heal people. You're going to speak to souls. You're going to inspire people. You're going to awaken people up for them to continue to walk in their journey. You're going to connect with people for them to see it ain't just me. It's not an isolated situation. And this is why it's important for us to share. Yes, I'll bring people on here to tell us the how to's, right? How to do this, how to do that. But it's important to hear journeys. It's really important to hear journeys. This is what's moved in me because all the how to's and the ABCDs, there's a disconnect. You can't even hear all that if you feel like I'm not good enough. Or am
Mhm.
I even worthy enough to do this? Am I there? You need to hear people's journey and know that we all have a story. You're
Mhm.
worthy enough, and you're using your story in order to find or rediscover, not find because it's not lost, rediscover that worthiness that's already in us. I have it. So that's why I brought you on. I thank you so much
I appreciate it. I
for
appreciate you
sharing your
having
journey.
me.
I look forward to the third book. We'll definitely go look for those first two books. We'll give books as gifts. When I find things, we want to gift people that's going to help us be our best version of ourselves. I look forward to the stages you want. Anyone that's listening, if you want to hear someone actually speak to, I don't care if it's in the boardroom, the classroom, the whatever room, to inspire and to uplift from a lived experience. Also, you say you do workshops, so not just about transformational speaking, but you do these workshops with the framework, correct? Right?
I'm getting it together now, but I am right
Okay.
now doing one-on-one coaching.
There you go. So one-on-one
I'm,
coaching.
I'm doing that now, but the workshop is in the making. It's coming.
All right. So connect because we, as entrepreneurs, as athletes, as community leaders, whatever it is, as human beings, we need to connect with those individuals that have lived experiences, and it will absolutely go deeper for sure, right? Than any type of stage interview. So make sure you
Yes.
do
And I
that.
wanted to say too,
Yes.
quick, because it was, you said it, so it was my confirmation. Because anybody that stayed on the call, I did want to gift them, but I didn't know if you would be okay with me gifting.
First of
But
all,
I
use
did. So you was
first,
right on it.
first of all,
That's
use one word:
That,
gift.
that's
Like,
why you're my sister, because I was going to say at the end of the call, if they go to my website and fill out my contact form, that they can have a t-shirt or my second
share
book.
your website. What is the website?
It's Coach with Auntie, www.coachwithauntieree.com.
All right.
And I
And
have a contact form on there. And if they fill out that form, I want to gift them a t-shirt or a book, whatever they choose.
absolutely. And of course, I would never have a problem with that. That is the purpose of my platform for those who are listening is, again, not to just speak at you, to you, but to speak with you and to grow together. We have to start doing the things that are actionable in order for us to move. If you just want to hear people talk, there's plenty of other platforms. You can hear them talk. That's
Mhm.
fine. When you want to have action and real connection, that is what this Seek ELLAvation platform is called to do. I want real connection. Like, what are the tangibles? What are the actions? Faith without works is dead. So, what are the connections? Don't just get the stuff. Connect with Ree. Where can they connect with you? Connect with each other. You have to build community with like-minded people in order for us to excel, to elevate. Where can they reach you?
Yes, so it's real easy. So my Instagram, my YouTube, and my um, TikTok are I am Auntie Ree, and then my Facebook is Ree Randolph Dunham, and then my website again is www.coachwithauntieree.com.
There you go. Link with each other. I don't believe in just the you follow me. No, we connect, build a community because that's energy. All of us are releasing energy. And the more that you start shifting to a pot full of energy of the direction that you are called to go, the quicker and most potent way of getting there is doing that.
Yes.
So, all right. So, if you ever questioned your path because either no one in your family has walked it, anybody that's around you, just remember this. Please remember this. You're not lost. You're leading. And I'm speaking from experience and everybody. And let us not convict or condemn anyone that we thought did do. Everyone was learning something from experience at their time. In our newness, let us be grateful for where we're at. Say prayers for everybody else that didn't know better. And you're not the black sheep. You're the blueprint. You're the story. It's proof. You are proof, I should say, that legacy starts where tradition ends. So, with that
Amen.
said, that is a wrap for
Yes.
another segment of Seek Elevation. Thank you so much for tuning in and engaging and adding. You definitely added value to this powerful conversation. Go back and re-listen to hear the books that Auntie Ree have, and also the ways to connect with each other. And until next time, peace and progress. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.